The videos on Chipotle are going to be a little bit out of order. Obviously, the first one I did was because I was a little fucking frustrated about my previous week of employment. Uh, I am still employed there, um, which is, cool. I'm still working there. I don't plan on leaving there as long as they continue to not do what they did last week. But when you interview at Chipotle, they don't actually look at your application. They just look that you applied and that you have a phone number that's valid that they can contact you on. They'll contact you on. Bring you in for an interview. Usually it's before the restaurant opens, during the team's break between 10 and 11. Usually my interview went a little late because there was a conference call. My interview didn't start till 11:15. And what they're looking for is people with their 13 characteristics. I'm not going to go over what the 13 characteristics are because they're just a MBA program worth of buzzwords. They are literally just an entire MBA's program worth of buzzwords and also how to get your resume put into the bottom of the pile on LinkedIn. Sorry, I just saw something interesting on Facebook, so I had to stop for a moment. But once they've interviewed you, they'll ask you, the basic questions. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your work experience. Blah, blah, blah. Just get to know you questions. It used to be group interviews, but my interview was a one-on-one interview, which was really nice, because I don't do well in, group interviews. I had one once and I blew it. Of course, I don't really practice them. I've gone on numerous one-on-one interviews, especially because when I was first in college, I didn't have great availability, so I had to go on a bunch of interviews and find an employer who was willing to work with my schedule, even though it was open availability on the weekends. Now, moving on, after that, you're given a free meal and told you'll get an email. Sometimes they'll offer you a position on the spot. I was told, yeah, you can get in line and get a free meal. I got a steak burrito, which was what I got when I ate at Chipotle anyway. Would always get either a steak burrito or a chicken burrito. That day I just happened to be in the mood for steak. I was going to buy a steak burrito. I got a steak burrito and a drink. The apprentice manager came out and offered me the position, which I was like, okay, cool. And I started 3 weeks later. Put in my I-9 verification stuff a week later, and then it was 2 weeks, and then it was another week and a half until orientation, and then another 6 days until I actually started my training. 8 days later, the person training me was terminated. So my training, I was only there during 3 of those days. Not really going to get into specifics about why the person was terminated because I wasn't there that day. It was one of my days off. But as far as I know, it was a customer service issue. So, great. You have the 13 characteristics. You start. You get going. Everything's good. Everything's good. You're learning. Then they have you, sign off that you know what you're doing, which is great. That way there's some accountability to the trainer that they actually did. My trainer didn't really do a good job. I had 5 years of retail experience, so I knew how to run a cash register and I know how to do customer service. Like, that's what I do. I know how to do that. So that's the way it works. Then you get sent on your own a couple days later. Great. During that time, about 5 days later is when you're supposed to get sent on your own. I had about 2.5 days total. Well, if you count 8 days as 8-hour shifts, I was there for about 5 days total, including orientation and another day of videos. Which the videos are actually kind of okay. They aren't like normal retail restaurant videos where it's just, here's what you have to do. Now we're gonna drone on for 45 minutes about why you shouldn't take a toilet down a stepladder. Yes, that did happen at my previous employer, Home Depot. So that's basically how I got hired in my first couple weeks. I think the next one is the 3 Peers of Chipotle culture. Well, actually, I got about 5 minutes left before this video's a little too old. Hold on a moment. I think I got about 5 minutes left. And that's pretty good. So, the management structure. When they hire people, they want to only hire people who at some point could become a manager. Which, okay, whatever. You know, that's great. That's perfectly great. You want people who can become a manager because you want to build managers, especially in the food business. Especially in the food business, and that's because the food business is not is not um is not simple. You either need to go to culinary school or work your way up. So what happens is, excuse me, what happens is you start as a crew member, you learn all the stations, then you become a kitchen manager in training. You learn all that, then once you finish that, you get validated as a kitchen manager. Then you become a service manager in training, which a service manager in training does exactly what it says. You run service. You basically work nights, work with the night crew, make sure that shit works, make sure that people are doing the right thing. And that's all well and good. Then, once you do that, you become an apprentice in training. Which sounds weird because an apprentice is someone in training to finish. But that's something totally different. Then, once you finish that, you get validated to become a apprentice. And as an apprentice, you are a general manager in training. You become a general manager, and once you finish all that, you become a general manager. Then your goal is to create a team of top performers who are empowered to achieve high standards and become a restaurateur. As you'll notice, that's easier to say than the rest of the things in the video, because Chipotle makes you memorize that, which I don't know why, but you become a restaurateur, which comes with a company car, a salary of $99,000 a year, and more responsibilities, like you have to go and help other restaurants out, and then eventually you get a second, a third, a fourth restaurant. You become a team leader, and then a field leader, which is basically a district manager and a regional manager from retail. And then you just ride it out until eventually you either quit, get fired for not having enough top performers in your stores, or, well, get promoted to corporate. In the next video, I'll explain what a team of top performers empowered to achieve high standards means. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you all next time.